What's up, internet?
Welcome to Cut the Crap.
Our first official episode of Cut the Crap, where we're talking all things sex, relationships, intimacy. Now, our intention with this show, like, why did we call it Cut the Crap?
Because Reece really liked the name.
I really like the name, for starters. Now, there's so much bullshit relationship advice out there. You know, think about the mainstream media. You think about your Cosmopolitan magazines.
9 ways to blow his mind with a head job. That
Men's
kind of
magazines,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. And look, the intention is good. You know, the intention is good to support people in their relationships, but most of it is bullshit. Like, let's be real about that. And you know, we're all subjected to it. We all exist in this culture. It all seeps in. So we're all subject to it. So part of our intention with this program is to really cut the crap. On the other end of the spectrum here is, you know, the work that we do with couples and with singles on an everyday basis. Underneath all of the conditioning, we know how to do relationships. But the way we bring ourselves to our intimate connections, the way we bring ourselves to relating, there's a lot of things that we are doing that are getting in the way of having the types of connections that we want with people and having the types of relationships with the level of depth, the level of intimacy that most of us are seeking from these relationships. And yeah, it really is time to cut the crap in terms of the really destructive, unhealthy ways that we are being in relationship. So that's our intention for you guys with this program, is to help you cut the crap in your relationships and to help push you, get you in the direction, moving in the direction that you want to be in.
And that's, again, like we said, whether you're in a relationship now and you're finding that you're arguing about stuff, or your sex life doesn't look the way you want it to, or you're feeling resentful, or you're closing down, like all of those things, right? Or if you want to be in a relationship, but you feel like you've got blocks to intimacy, or you find yourself hiding, or you find it hard to communicate with the opposite sex. All of these things that are the blocks to you being intimate in the way that you want to, and we're talking particularly emotional intimacy here, then we're here to help you break through all of that stuff. I want to take a moment to say hi to those of you coming on live. Feel free to give us the likes and the love hearts and all the feedback. That helps us to know what you're jamming with. And feel free to post a question as well. If you are on live, we will prioritize your question.
Yeah, if you're feeling brave, drop a question below. Even if you're watching the replay, hi guys, thanks for the love. Even if you're watching the replay, feel free to drop a comment below and we will get back to you. And this is going to be a continuing program as well. So shoot us a message and you know, we will absolutely help you cut the crap in a future episode.
If you're on live now and you don't actually want to comment below, feel free to PM us. We'll be checking our messages as well.
We'll try to.
Just helps to keep things private if you would like it to stay private.
Yeah, technical difficulties around checking messages live.
Yeah, we'll try our best, you know.
So,
Hi!
without further ado, I think we should jump into the first question. We had some freaking amazing questions from our email list.
If you're not on our email list, by the way, head on over to practicalintimacy.com and there's a little fabulous little freebie there for you to download, and you can be on our list and hear about all the cool things that we do first. It's like our little insider list.
All right, let's get to it. So the very first question, I'm going to call her Janine.
Janine.
Her name's not Janine.
Hi, Janine.
I protect privacy here.
Thanks for writing in, Janine.
Thanks, Janine. You'll know it's you when I read the question. So, what are some tips for a woman to become more comfortable with her sexual side? Bit of a backstory. Coming from a childhood where sex before marriage was bad, don't think about sex, don't talk about it. I blocked it out for so many years, even into my 20s and my marriage. I'm 26 and have now been married for 5 years. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Sex is enjoyable, but I just feel like I have a difficult time fully letting go. trying new things. It has definitely made a negative impact on over the years in our marriage. And it doesn't help that our kids try to walk in 95% of the time. So I'm not 100% mentally present in the moment a lot of the time, unfortunately. Awesome question. It's just the very first sentence sums it up. What's tips for a woman to become more comfortable with her sexual side? I feel like you might want to take this one.
This is such a big topic. We could literally spend months talking about this one. But
we do.
And we do. This is what we do with our, or particularly what I do with my one-on-one clients, my female clients. So I want to start just by saying this is a really common experience. And I think no matter what your background, I think a lot of women really struggle. There's a lot of research to support this. We really struggle to stay present. Our mind does actually have a tendency to wander. Women find it harder to stay in the moment and stay connected to the sexual experience than men. There's a lot of different reasons why, and it's obviously a spectrum, but I just want to really normalize this. That
I would counter that, but we
you're going to say that
right now.
You want to say that men struggle with the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They may not be aware of it, and they probably wouldn't explain it in the same way that women do. But once we actually get knuckling down into it, go on. I digress.
So this is really well documented, and I think a lot of women would put their hand up and say, you know what, I struggle with that too. I know I've struggled with it too, and I do still continue to struggle with it, right? And so first part is normalizing that. I also want to recognize that growing up in a household where sex is taboo, where it's considered something that you shouldn't do, that you don't talk about it, that it's not something that's freely expressed, absolutely that has an impact on your sexuality. And again, so many of us can relate to this. Growing up, either we didn't get sex education in school, or the sex education that we did get said, don't have sex, you'll get pregnant, you'll get an STI, basically fear. That's how we were told to feel about sex. And then when we turn 18 and it's legal, it's like, now go out into the world and be a fabulous lover. It's like,
have healthy, happy relationships.
Yeah.
Be fully expressed
be
in your
fully
sexuality.
Expressed, even though your experience of sex has always been fear and we don't talk about it and it's hush-hush. So again, totally normalizing that experience. Part of the journey...
There's a crazy kitty coming in.
There may or may not be a very, very cute chocolate Burmese about to bust in on this call. We should probably put a lid on those water bottles so that she doesn't create a disaster scene.
Knock the lights over.
You know that it's live when it's doing live television with animals. It's always crazy. So a big part of feeling like a confident, fully expressed woman is challenging these beliefs and actually reconditioning these beliefs. And that's a bit of a long process. Like, there is an art to this, and something, again, that I do with my one-on-one clients. But I do really encourage you to work with new empowering beliefs, such as it's okay to be a sexual woman. It's okay to feel pleasure. It's okay for me to express what I want and not want. It's okay for me to want to have sex, to enjoy sex, all of these things, and keep reminding yourself that that is your true essence, and that is the kind of sexuality that you deserve. That's how you deserve to feel about yourself. And that the other stuff that was implanted in there, they're kind of like weeds that need to be removed from the garden, and it's okay to let that stuff go. And I get it's easy for me to say that, like obviously there are processes to help you do that, but that's part of the journey. I want to come back to just really practical, because we like to, practical intimacy, it's kind of in our name. We like to always leave you with some practical tips. In terms of staying present and being able to let go, two things I want to say. Firstly, lock the door. That actually will be having, if you're scared your kids are going to walk in, that will absolutely be
psychological stress.
Yeah. It's really important for women for us to be able to access our full pleasure and become fully aroused and be fully orgasmic and divine and delicious. We need to feel safe. We need the space to let go. And if you feel that any moment the kids might pop through the door, that's not going to be that I can fully surrender and be me and let go kind of vibe.
I just want to circle back on that word. So you need to feel safe. Like, it just is such a huge component of anyone's sexuality, but women's sexuality in particular. Yeah, for you to feel like you can let go and surrender, like you have to feel safe first and foremost. And that's like in your physical environment. So like what Jodie said, like very practically locking the door, but also like emotionally safe, like mentally safe, spiritually safe.
Which is where a lot of that limiting belief stuff comes in, you know? So feeling like it's okay for you to have sex, that's going to be impacting how safe you feel. Yeah. So that's kind of the first thing, is make sure you feel safe, that you've created an environment where you can let go, and you'll be amazed at how much more you can actually let go. The second thing with the mind wandering, super simple tip with this one, is focus on the things that are bringing you into the moment, and focus on your arousal. Focus on the things that turn you on. So for me, we're going to get super personal here. If I notice that my mind is wandering, I look down to what's happening with the genitals. I find looking at Reece's fabulous genitals very arousing. And so if I find my mind wandering or my arousal dropping, I look there. Yeah. If I find that I'm a bit distracted in my head, I'll make eye contact with Reece and allow that to pull me back into the moment and into the intimacy. I notice the sensations in my body. What am I feeling? How does it feel? I might even touch myself and just kind of ground me into my body. So I'll rub my hands on my body, or I'll ask Reece to touch me, right? Just basically things to anchor me back in.
So really what we're talking about there is presence. It's like if you're distracted, like you're not present. So just bringing your attention back to yourself, bringing your attention to your partner, bringing your attention to the interaction to help you just bring yourself here more fully.
And the body is such a fabulous way to help us be present and in the moment, because the body can only be here. The mind can be in the past, the mind can be in the future, but the body can only be here in the now. So use your body and use your senses to bring you back into the now and back into the experience.
It's like, yeah, you have all of this information coming into your body constantly, and especially during sex. So it's like use that focusing power of your body and all of the sensations that are coming into it to bring you here.
The final thing I want to say with this is know that it's okay to slow down. Yeah. If you find that you are fully out of the experience, please don't keep going. It's okay to stop and say, babe, I'm feeling a little bit out of the experience. Can we cuddle for a moment? You know, even talking can be a great way to bring you back to the experience. But no, you don't have to keep pushing yourself, and that's part of the sexual experience too. We had this idea that sex is this race to orgasm, and it's like we do the foreplay and then we do the sex, and it's like constantly building, and then we reach orgasm and it finishes. Yeah, like,
what a limiting model for sex.
Sex is more like this. There's peaks and valleys and troughs, then it goes over here and over here. Like, it's a full adventure, and it happens that way once you actually give yourself permission to honor where you're at and what you need. So I just wanted to tack that in there, tack that onto the end. So thanks, Janine. I hope that was helpful. Feel free to follow up and let us know if there's anything you want to go into more depth with on that one.
Awesome sauce. Hi to all the people jumping on.
Oh my gosh, there's so many people commenting and sending us love. We love it. Thanks for being here on a rainy Saturday morning.
For us it is.
Yeah.
Wherever you are.
We're in a little
I don't know what's going on
cabin out in the bush out west of Brisbane, and it's pouring down rain. Lovely.
So we got a live question that I want to jump into because it's really cool. And it's from, I'm going to say your name because you posted publicly.
You're right there.
Lara Sparkles. Fuck yeah to the name.
Hi, Lara Sparkles.
Loving the sparkles. Cool.
Lara
I have a question for you both.
Back.
You know Lara Sparkles?
I know Lara Sparkles,
oh, wow.
yeah.
All right then.
Yeah.
It's your homegirl.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm working on creating a life I love for myself and healing.
She is.
But I'm wondering how you transition from wanting to just be by yourself to actively putting yourself out there and welcoming in a new relationship. I feel like I don't need a partner to complete me, but at the same time, don't want to be alone forever.
Ooh.
So much goodness in this one.
So good.
Ugh.
Can I say something first?
You can say something
Okay, I'll be
first.
quick because then I'm going to pass to because I took the last one.
That's all right.
Something that has really blown my mind with this in recent years is recognizing, so I used to really have a lot of resistance to relationships because I was like, I don't need no man, I'm an independent woman, I'm amazing, I don't need anyone. And it's been really, really powerful for me to recognize that I don't need Reece, but I want him. And there's a really big difference there. And that I can feel my want and my desire and my yearning. And that's a really beautiful thing. So I feel you saying, like, you don't need a partner. Absolutely, you don't need a partner to complete you, but you want one. And so sit in that desire. It's really healthy to have desire for things. It's okay to want things. It's okay to want a partner. I think there's a bit of a culture around thinking that, if you want a partner, that somehow that's kind of desperate or needy. It's okay to want things. It's okay to want things for your life. It's okay to have dreams. And it's okay to want a fabulous, beautiful, intimate, loving relationship. Own that desire, and that's going to open you up to it and really make space for it in your life.
Yeah, I think like what you've said here is really healthy and beautiful. Like, the not needing. And, the thing about wanting, the thing about desire is, we can either focus on the lack of it, like, oh, I don't have this thing. Or as Jodie was pointing to in that, like, we can feel into the fullness of it, the richness of it, of like, I really want this thing, and like allowing yourself to be filled up with the wanting. Like that is like, it's such a beautiful thing to feel, like this deep, heartfelt, soulful desire for something, and using that as fuel for how you bring yourself to your life, how you bring yourself to your world. I want to say more.
Okay, go. Say more.
When Jodie and I first got together, way back when, 6 years ago?
Who's counting? I don't know.
7 years? I don't know anymore. Many years ago.
In a desert town in Alice Springs.
We'd both just come out of long-term relationships, and one of the core statements was almost like a mantra for both of us. And we've spoken about this before, but I feel like it's relevant here. It's like, how do I be in relationship with myself? Because we just had the experience of being in a relationship and losing ourselves. And so we, that's often what happens when we come out of relationships, and it sounds like where you're at now, just like really prioritizing that relationship with self. Like it's so deeply important. Like it's everything, like everything starts from a relationship with self. And so, that mantra was, how do I stay in relationship with myself while at the same time just being open to relationship with another? Because it's not either or. It's both. Prioritizing self, prioritizing relationship with self, self-love, all of that great, fantastic self-healing stuff that you're doing. And at the same time, just like being open, being welcoming, inviting at the same time, as like holding strong boundaries and openness and invitation.
That was so beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's how you create amazing relationships, is you really do honor yourself. And I think that has been it's what inspired us to go on and start Practical Intimacy, is finding that was kind of a real secret sauce that a lot of people were missing.
So I think in terms of like putting yourself out there, there's practical things that you can do to put yourself out there. And, we're not dating coaches, so I rarely speak to that. I guess what I do normally say to this type of question is, when you are doing the shit that lights you up, you just become magnetic. It's kind of my experience in this, and from the people that I work with. It's like when you're really doing the stuff that lights you up, it's like, I'm just prioritizing self. Then people are like, ooh, damn, yeah. And so, you magnetize. And like I said, there's things that you can do to get out there more if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But
yeah. We can come, I often say to people, go and do the things that you love. Like go, if you're really into bird watching, like a couple of total bird nerds that we know, go join a bird watching group, or organize a bird watching.
Ornithologists.
Yeah, go hang out with your ornithologists. But of course, you know, there's, as Reece says, we're not dating coaches. There's so many ways to go out there and meet people, and we don't want to cover those with you because I feel like you probably know that. What you're talking about is how to be open. And I think what Reece was talking about, recognizing it's not an either or, like you can honor yourself and you can be open to a beautiful, loving, fabulous, intimate relationship.
And you know, if you want to go a bit meta with this, when you are clear in yourself, in your relationship with self and your boundaries, you will tend to attract people that can then meet you on that level.
Plus, be discerning, exercise those boundaries, right? If you meet someone and you don't think they're a good fit, honor that, trust that. That's how we keep the space available for someone who's actually a good fit, as opposed to just like, this person's in my world, well, I guess they'll do. Be discerning. Use all of the knowledge that you've developed about yourself to know who you want to welcome into your life.
It's how a lot of people tend to get into relationships, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're
This
there.
person
Oh, you
showed
kind of
up.
like me.
Hi.
Oh, well,
yeah.
sure.
You're giving me attention. You seem to think I'm awesome, but how do you really feel about this person? Are they actually a good fit?
Remember that what you say no to makes space for the hell yes. Yeah, so don't settle. Thanks for all the love and all the likes.
Yeah.
They're coming through.
Yay, people
It's
are jamming
nice.
with that.
Nice one, Lara Sparkles. I'm just going to assume we nailed it.
Love you, darling.
Sparkles.
So sparkly. Feel free to send your questions through. You can also PM us. I'll check. How about I check the PMs? You do the email.
Alrighty. So I'm going to call this person Lynette.
Hi, Lynette.
Okie doke. So my biggest challenge right now is the fact that my partner and I kind of miss each other sexually. All the sex questions.
So good.
By that I mean his way of approaching me for physical intimacy doesn't turn me on. Boom, straight up, owning it. Nice. He comes on too strong, too fast. He's already ready and I'm just not. I try and explain this to him, but he doesn't get it. Plus, now that this has gone on so long, I've become withdrawn and even shy to speak about it with him, which I'm sure it has pushed me. I'm going to just wrap that up there. There's so much for us to speak to just in that. Yep.
Cool.
Yes.
All right. I think our internet connection is dropping in and out, but I think we're good. We're back. Okay, cool.
Oh, I've got to thank you. That was awesome. Awesome.
Thanks, Lara
Yay.
Sparkles.
I kind of miss each other sexually.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's starting to shut me down. Yeah. All right. So, again, want to normalize this dynamic. So common. We're going to give you a little crash course in sexual desire dynamics in relationships.
In 1 minute.
In 1 minute. Oh, okay. Every relationship, you have a high desire and a low desire partner. You put two people together and the law of comparison says one person is going to want sex more than the other.
You cannot be exactly the same.
No. Or if you are, it won't stay that way very long because life. It changes. You might be the high desire partner in the morning and then come nighttime, you guys have swapped. Or childbirth, moving house, things that are going on in work, right? And then there's also your own sexuality and how you relate to your desire. And that's a deeper conversation as well. So what we just want to normalize is this sense of there's one person wanting sex more than the other. And there's really common experiences that happen for each of those people. It's rough no matter which side of the seesaw you are on, especially if you don't know this dynamic exists. Because you think your relationship's broken or your partner's doing something wrong or you're doing something wrong. But here's the thing, as the low desire partner, that sense of feeling pressured, that sense of, you know, when your partner's ready for sex and you're not, that it shuts you down, very, very common experience. It's the natural reaction to that dynamic because it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel nice to feel like your partner's kind of hassling
pressure,
you for
expectation,
sex.
Obligation.
Yeah,
All of those
it's
things
not,
are going to shut down, kill desire
Yeah.
quicker than basically anything.
Was that 1 minute?
Sure.
Bam.
Let's say it
Cool.
was. Yep.
All right, can we do one more minute and do brakes and accelerators? Can we give you crash course number 2? That was lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, you have a brake and an accelerator when it comes to sex, okay? Accelerator turns you on, brake turns you off. There's so much more depth to this. We have an entire online course about this. We'll leave the link below if you want to learn more. But that is the essentials for answering the question. Basically, when your partner's coming to you for sex, it's hitting your brake because of this dynamic. Also because he's already turned on, you're not, and the things that he's doing aren't working. So you guys have a problem with how you're initiating sex, which is very challenging because if you can't initiate sex, it's going to really affect like whether you do or don't, or if you find that you're kind of forcing yourself into it, which I would encourage you to stop doing, by the way. But often it's like that's how we start, then the sexual experience goes on to be very unsatisfying.
Cool. That was some boring theory, and we're supposed to not be about that.
But it's so important.
It's so important.
Yeah.
It is. Like everybody needs to understand this. Anyone who's having sex, you need to understand brakes and accelerators and high desire, low desire. I want to get a little more cut the crap with this one because I'm feeling some scope to go there.
Here he goes.
Put my hard ass coach hat on. So, and there's two sides. There's a couple of sides to this I want to speak to. This part about becoming withdrawn and shy to speak about it. While I totally understand why that would happen in this particular dynamic, in this relationship, why you would be scared to even say anything, especially if it's not being heard and not being respected, you are responsible for your boundaries and you are responsible for communicating what you need. And that's hard, right? I'm not suggesting that this is easy. It's deeply, deeply vulnerable to make a stand for yourself and say how this is happening, this whole initiating sex stuff, is not working for me. So that would be my cut the crap encouragement to you to just really own your experience in this and stand up for yourself in that. Yeah.
At the end of the day, uncomfortable conversations are uncomfortable. There's not a lot of ways around that. You can learn how to deal with the discomfort. You can learn how to communicate. And again, that's in our course about how to initiate sex. It's called Reignite Your Love Life. But at the end of the day, it's uncomfortable. That's why we don't do it. But you have to learn how to have those uncomfortable conversations or else nothing will change.
And that's what creates intimacy, the uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that is such a huge part of intimacy, is being able to share who and what is going on for you in the moment. Another level of cut the crap that I want to speak to is, and again, I totally understand why it has transpired this way, and so there's no judgment or no shame in what I'm about to say. But, you know, within what's been written here, and, you know, I can only speak to what I feel like is going on. It might be different, and so I acknowledge that. I feel like there's also a level of needing to, very similar to the last email question that we spoke to, about owning your sexuality and really getting in touch with your sexuality, but outside of your partner. And so
that's not opening the relationship.
No,
like individually.
So on your own.
Yeah.
Yep. So making time for self-pleasure, making time for you to explore your body, explore your sexuality. Like, what do you do to get yourself turned on? Because you're saying you're a bit shut down sexually. And, you know, while I understand the dynamic has had that effect of shutting you down, at the end of the day, you can't blame him and how he's bringing himself to the sexual play for your loss of sexual desire. So you need to go and be with yourself, go and lock the door like we spoke about last time, be on your own, touch your body, get to know yourself, fill yourself up, really get in contact with what it means to you to be a sexual woman. Like, how do you experience your desire? What does it feel like to be turned on? Go do that. You want to say something on that?
Yeah, I'm like we're going to disagree slightly. Not disagree, that is all super, super valid. And what I'm going to challenge here is just acknowledging...
This is all live, not pre-planned.
Acknowledging that this dynamic is hitting your brake. Yeah, and that you can go and hit your accelerator, and that's what Reece is saying. Go hit your accelerator and go and explore your desire. And that's super valuable. but also you need to learn how to take off that brake. And that is going to have to be a conversation with your partner so he can learn how to stop hitting your brake and how he can actually hit your accelerator.
Which brings me to my next level of cut the crap, which is for him, if you're watching this, sex and intimacy in relationships are an exquisite dance. And if you're bringing yourself to your sexual interactions in a way that's just like, boom, this is how we do it, and this is what I want, and this is just how I'm going for it.
Yeah, so you need to get in the mood.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, you have low desire, you have low libido. Oh, well, there's something wrong with you. You need to go get that fixed. We need to fuck that shit off quick, smart. And you know, this is not about, if you're watching this is not about shaming you or saying that you're doing it wrong. And I get that how I came across them may have suggested that that's what I was doing. No, but like, let's be real here. It is an exquisite dance. And we all need to bring ourselves to that dance with vulnerability, with honesty, with transparency. What does that mean? These are fancy words. What do I actually mean by that? Get curious about what's going on for her. Learn how to bring yourself in a way that is going to turn her on. Ultimately, you want to have sex with her, right? So learn how she likes to dance. Learn what turns her on. Learn what gets her motor running. Ultimately, you guys want the same thing. So quit being opposed in that. And yeah, you will both have to be doing things differently. And that's uncomfortable. And that's going to bring up all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that's incredible and amazing because it will bring you closer together.
And we talk about having it as a collaboration. That way it's not like your fault, my fault.
We have to do it your way.
Yeah. So it's like a collaboration.
How does everyone's needs get met in this?
And if you literally want a step-by-step course, I know I seem like I'm promoting the course. It's simply because I acknowledge this is a really big question and one of those problems that creates so much loneliness and heartache and frustration and resentment, like all of these uncomfortable feels. We created a course to help you deal with that because we know how challenging it is. So please, if this is your problem, go do the course. It will change your life. Change your relationship, change your sex life. Reignite your love life. Link below. Jam. Done.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is one of those subjects that we could speak for days on.
Yeah.
And we're not going to.
But other questions. And it's like, we've only got 20 minutes left.
Oh, we've got a time limit on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining in so far.
Yeah.
Loving you guys.
All the likes
all the
and
little
loves.
thumbs. It's so lovely.
Feel free to PM us if you have a question.
Yeah, drop us a message or drop it in the comments below. For those of you in Southeast Queensland, I'm just going to do a little quick promo here. Rock Your Relationship is happening next Tuesday night. It's a 3-hour workshop that's designed to get you guys connecting in really practical, tangible ways. So, you know, whether you are on the rocks and you're like shit's passing in the night, or whether your relationship's pretty good, you love each other, but you're not quite getting that level of connection and intimacy that you would like, come along. It's only $25 per couple, stupid cheap. We're experimenting with all sorts of different price points and practices that we're doing and ways of running this. It was a one-day workshop. Now it's a couple of hours in the evening. Come along and play with us and learn some really cool tools to help you guys connect again. We'll put the link to that below as well. Or you can just go to our page, Rock Your Relationship, Burley Heads, $25, next Tuesday night.
Focuses on deepening intimacy, helping you guys create that mind-blowing connection that you want, how to have difficult conversations, a few really amazing conflict tools to like change the way that you do fight, like in an instant, like 5-minute, completely change the way you do conflict exercises. Come along, again, amazing, amazing, game-changing workshop. We've had so many people talk about how in one day they've completely, it's amazing. Yeah. I have one that...
Oh, you're going to go on that one?
Yeah. No?
Jesus.
Woo!
That's such a massive question.
It is a massive question, right? So where did that go? Basically, the question, what this person wants us to jam on, we'll call them Lucy. Hi, Lucy. Have we picked all the L names? No. Last one was Lynette. Lucy. Something about L. L is in the air. This one really is about equality in the relationship, I think, and around housework and managing the household. That's how I'm going to sum
There's bigger meta context of how do I bring up boys in this world, in the socio-political climate that we find ourselves in.
It's acknowledging, the question acknowledges patriarchy, it acknowledges gender norms, the way that we condition girls and boys to look at chores and managing the household and that kind of thing. And then what implications does that have for you in a relationship in the modern world, trying to be a modern person and also raising children? So
where do you want to start with that one?
Well, because this is actually a really common theme for people, like frustrations around housework, frustrations around like balancing the management of the house.
Which we wrote a blog on.
Yeah, which we did write. So we will include that one.
All the resources.
All the resources for all y'all. But essentially, what I encourage people to do is really think about, what does equality in your relationship look like? And how do you balance things? So you might have one partner who goes out and earns money from 9 to 5, and the other partner is at home. Now, obviously, the amount of housework the person who is at home does is going to be different to the person who goes to work 9 to 5. You guys need to work that out for you. You might have a relationship where both of you go out 9 to 5 and you need to share the household stuff at home. And that's probably going to look more 50-50, right? You're both working 9 to 5 and you're both home the same amount of time. So that's going to be quite an even 50-50 split in the home. You might have one person who works nights and one who works days. Like, there's infinite ways that you might already have these dynamics playing out in your relationship. And so there is no one size fits all, is what I'm getting at here. For us, we work in our business together. We both work at home. So for us, the split is 50-50. But we've communicated about how we want that 50-50 split to be. I don't like touching the toilet. I have a slight germ phobe. So Reece always cleans the toilet. I always do the shower. Like, there's ways that we have divided that. But the key is we communicated about it and we've done it in a way that feels fair.
I feel like there's a level of conversation that needs to be acknowledged here that I think that question is more so about than like the practical division of labor, which is that basically, for me personally, as a man, I understand that it's not the woman's role to do the housework. And if you're in a relationship with a man who doesn't understand that, then yeah, that's going to cause some friction and it's going to be tough. So like, how do we address that? How do we deal with that? And that's why the question is overwhelming to me, because it's like, this is culture. We're trying to say, how do I change culture? How do I change unconscious, subconscious programming? I don't know how to answer that straight off the top of my head. This is something that I'm just deeply aware of and something that I've actively looked at and focused on and continue to in my life, like program gender norms. And at the end of the day, there needs to be a willingness from men, from everybody. It's not just about men, but just everybody, to look at what they do and what they've been programmed with that continues this. And so really my response is to that is just to look, like, whoever you are, it's like, examine your beliefs, examine your behavior, examine the culture that we live in, and the things that we are taught, and really take a good look at what works and what doesn't. And this is going to be uncomfortable because it's unconscious. And when we start looking at this stuff and we realize the impact that we have on our partner through the way that we've behaved and through the beliefs that we carry, it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable, and everything in you will rebel against it. This is what makes this work so fucking hard.
I think when we try and fix the entire culture, that's when it becomes overwhelming. But if you're just looking at the dynamic in your relationship...
But even that, I think, you know, really owning the impact that you've had on your partner is hard. Like, I'm not going to lie about that.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, something that I've found in this relationship is that you have always had the approach of 100% radical responsibility. I need to know how to cook my own food, do my own washing. Like, I need to know how to live and function as a human. It's not my role to support you. And so we're two individuals coming into a household together, acknowledging that if we were by ourselves, we'd have to do all this stuff, but we don't have to. We're a team. And it's just 50-50. Let's share that load. And I think taking that radical responsibility for yourself and then coming into a partnership and negotiating. So I say you have to have a conversation about it. And it might be like a really deep conversation where you might need to bring to the table, like, here's where I think things aren't fair. I remember for us, there was a time when we do meal planning, yeah?
Uh-oh.
We do meal planning for the week, so when we go shopping, we just kind of buy in bulk. Saves time and money. And
it's a great example. Keep going.
Yeah, I was doing all of the planning. So it would come to shopping time, and Reece was kind of showing, like, so what are we eating this week? And I'd gone and I'd researched recipes and I'd written out what we were having for the week. And this went on for a while until I started to feel resentment. Resentment is a really good sign that things aren't equal or you're not happy with the status quo, okay? So I was feeling resentment. So I went to Reece and said, hey, babe, we've been doing meal planning, and at the moment, I'm doing all the meal planning. I don't think that's fair. I'd really like for you to have 3 recipes each week. I'll have 3 recipes. We share, we talk about it, and we put the list together. And then he started doing that, and we're equal again.
Yeah, it wasn't just like as easy as that, though. That was really uncomfortable for me, because as a lot of people experience, when your partner comes to you with something and says, I'm not happy, we so often, and especially guys, we take I'm not happy as I'm not happy with you.
You're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong. And it's just, how, I don't know.
Yeah.
What happens in our heads, right? It's what happens with most of us.
We've done a big Facebook Live about this topic specifically, yeah.
And so, you know, under normal circumstances, we'd react to that. And get defensive because we feel like we're being attacked, right? And it's like what I'm speaking about here, meta level, is just like emotional intelligence. It was triggering for me to hear that. I'm not doing it right. That's not what she was saying, but what I heard was I'm not doing it right. I need to step up. And you know, part of me didn't want to do that either. I fucking hate meal planning, and I still do. But I had to sit with that reaction and sit with all of that inside of me. Feel it all, because that's all you can do when you're triggered is feel it. And go, okay, what is Jodie saying here? Does this have merit? Absolutely, of course it does. Yeah, she's right. I just expect her to do this. That wasn't a conscious decision ever. But when I'm really honest with myself in that moment, it's like, I just expect her to do this. Shit, that is so not fair. That is not a partnership. That is not a collaboration. It could be if we worked that out and she was happy to take that. But I have to own that, cool, all right, I need to step up here. So that's what happened. It wasn't just, we didn't just, and then Reece just started doing it.
I know that all of that was going on for you.
I think it did, yeah. But yeah, it's like, this is what it takes, like to really cut the crap and own your shit.
So I want to speak to the what can women do? Because so far we're kind of putting this as like, because here's, I mean, if we're going to call it, that this would be the trend, is that women are doing all the housework, not as much as men. Like that's the problem.
If it's housework, yeah. And again, I think just putting this in context of, so, you know, this is not about blaming men. Men don't do enough around the house. Men do shitloads of things and very much are often the providers and provide for families and for their relationships in ways that just go completely unacknowledged a lot of the time.
Note that you said often, not always. We get it. Yeah, right, cool.
Often.
Just checking. Yeah.
And so, yeah, like really, I don't know if this is where you're going to go. I'm just going to go on this really quick tangent because it's super important in terms of like practical appreciation in your relationship is so important. If you're not actively appreciating each other on a constant basis, your relationship is going to plummet, like guaranteed. The research is in. So it's like every moment of the day, finding ways to appreciate your partner and your relationship. And this doesn't mean we're glossing over the things that need work. We're not bypassing, right? We acknowledge that, yes, things need to change and need to be addressed and talked about as well. And you have to find every single little thing to appreciate about your partner, because positive reinforcement gets positive results.
And it's like 5 positive for 1 negative to balance that out. We feel the negatives more. It's just the way the human mind is built. I want to come back to that and just say the appreciation, it does make a big difference. If you come to your partner with a complaint or a suggestion or a criticism or a critique, the way that I did with Reece, if we didn't have a culture of appreciation, he'd get defensive and he would start listing all the things he does for the relationship that I don't do, such as cleaning the toilet, there's so many things, such as packing all the things that he does that I don't really do.
Hashtag all the things.
Hashtag all the things. Whereas if he feels appreciated, he's going to be much more open to receiving that, right? So appreciation is really key in being able to have this conversation. I want to come back to looking at how this dynamic gets created and looking at what happens for women. So I do want to acknowledge, and someone has acknowledged this in the comments, division of household labour is something that modern couples, clearly the research supports this. And there's something called the mental load. We won't go into that, but that even when the division of labour is, even women are still carrying the responsibility. They're like the CEO or the manager, and they're delegating all the jobs. And that's a really heavy thing that needs to be addressed. Again, that we talk about that in the blog that we are going to link to. But how this happens, how women also enable this situation. Whew.
Ooh.
Yeah?
Here we go. Cut the crap.
Yeah, cut the crap. We have been conditioned to be people pleasers and to always be looking out for people's needs and to meet those needs. And I think this speaks a lot more to the question that came from Lucy in how is the way that we're raised influencing this. So it's actually very natural for women to see a gap and feel that need. Men do it as well, absolutely, but around the house and around like caretaking, it's something that women are very quick to do. And we do it from a place of love. And often this is the trap that couples get into when they first get together, is you want to do all the lovely things for your partner. You want to iron their shirt. You want to cook them breakfast. You know, all of these things that you know how to do and that you're good at. Maybe you're better at cooking than your partner, so you want to cook them dinner when they come home from work. All of these things, it's coming from a place of love, and suddenly that becomes the habit and the norm. And this is what would happen with the meal planning, right? When we got to the time to go buy the groceries, we're like, oh, what are we going to eat this week? I was like, I guess I have to do meal planning then. It's just something I naturally did. And so that set up that status quo. I had to actively look at that and challenge that and realize I wasn't happy with it. So it's not necessarily like Reece is a bad person because he was expecting me to do this thing. Like I co-created that dynamic by doing that naturally, not having a conversation, and then doing it repeatedly over time and not saying anything. I took responsibility for that by owning my resentment and communicating. Yeah,
so you noticed any running themes today is about just absolutely owning your experience and communicating that. So if there's stuff going on for you, it's on you to speak that and to step up and create those boundaries, get your desires met. And
that might sound like, I don't know what the word is, Like we're throwing it all back on you, but actually what we're doing is empowering you. Because if it's all your partner's problem, what can you do?
You're a victim.
You're a victim. And there's like, that's a really disempowered place to be. We don't want that for you. If suddenly you have scope to enact change, you're taking back some responsibility. We talk about 100% responsibility for your 50%. If you claim your 50%, suddenly you've got something to work with. It's not about blaming you and saying, this is your problem as well. It's about saying, this is a problem that you can fix too.
How am I creating this?
How am I? It gives you options where before there were none.
Yeah,
so
I can't do anything until they change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, on the surface it makes sense, but when we cut deeper and when we cut the crap, it's like 100% responsibility, 50% of the problem.
The other thing I will say is that, as Reece has mentioned already, some of these conversations are hard, and sometimes
most of them are.
You want to get support with that, right? And this is something that we do help couples do, is actually have these conversations so that you get heard and understood. So plenty of people, in order to help get the whole division of labour thing, and division of like housework and the mental load, to get that sorted in their relationship, will go and seek help. And it is actually one of those areas that seeking outside help, whether it's a counsellor, whether it's a coach, whether it's a therapist, actually creates change. So if this is something that you know needs to change, again, we're right here. We work with couples around this. Like, this stuff is intimacy as well. Because if it's not sorted out, it's a block to intimacy. It's a block to connection. You don't got to do it all on your own.
Yeah, and as a way to wrap up on that, like, one of the most common things, many common things that we hear from the people who work with us, but one of those common things is, why did I wait so long? Why did I have to get so uncomfortable and so resentful? Why did things have to get so fucked up before I asked for help? And that's just kind of human nature in some ways. You know, things have to get so bad before we go, I need help, something needs to change. So like, if your relationship is not freaking awesome, and this is not about fairy tale awesome, but like a real amazing, grounded, beautiful awesome, reach out. We can help you do that. That's what we do.
Basically, if you feel like your relationship has scope to change and grow, and you want help with that, we're your peeps.
Drop us a message. We can organise a time to chat. No obligation, no high pressure sales bullshit. It's just like, what's going on for you guys? Here's what we do. Can we help you?
Are we a good fit? Do you like us? Pretty much.
And if you're in Southeast Queensland, come along next Tuesday night. There's a couple of spots left.
Rock your relationship.
We've got a few amazing, courageous couples already willing to step in.
Our last Gold Coast one sold out. So if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence, you might just want to jump in there and snap up a ticket before they are all gone. Because it's only a limited amount of space. So let's share the link below.
Yes, we will.
You can read more and feel free to ask questions.
Shoot us a message if you have more questions that you would like us to jam on. We're going to wrap it up for today. Thanks so much.
Yay.
And for all the hearts. You want us to jam on next time. We are going to do these semi-regularly. I don't know how regularly yet. When we feel like it. Cut the crap. We hope we've helped you cut the crap today. And
Jodie and Reece signing out. Practical Intimacy.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.